Okay. So let's go here. Let's go here. Um, and that's because I'm working on this one is going into another story. Okay. Let's talk about trans girls for a second.
2021, 4 years ago, I made a tweet, and the tweet referenced my women's only gym, the Girls Spot, and being trans inclusive. Now, when I made that tweet in 2021, I had just announced my plans to open a women's only gym. I hadn't thought out the vision or the mission or what it would entail, but all I knew is that I wanted to open a gym. We are now 4 years later, and I have had a great deal of time to figure that out. The Girl Spot Gym exists as a safe space for women because women are facing gym harassment, sexual assault, and sexual violence inside of gyms. And I know that because I'm a victim of it. So the meaning of the Girl Spot Gym is now entirely different. And I say this to say that whilst we are a gym, inside we are focusing on self-defense classes, Muay Thai, boxing classes, as well as workshops and activations around PCOS and training on your menstrual cycle, all of which occur to biological women. Majority of the women who are seeking my women's only gym, the Girl Spot, are coming here because they have faced some level of gym intimidation or sexual violence and assault that has been perpetrated by 2021, 4 years ago, perpetrated by men. So as the owner of the gym, it is very important to make it clear how my women's only gym will be operating, and it will be operating as a single sex space for biological women. Now, we do believe that everybody deserves a safe space, and there are many gyms that are starting to have mixed cubicles and changing rooms so that individuals can feel safer and more included in these environments. But the Girl Spot Gym as a standalone is a female only gym, because it is imperative that I stick to the vision and the mission and ensure that these are perpetrated by men. So as the owner of the gym, it is very important to make it clear how my women's only gym will be operating.
Okay. So let me read because I just want to make sure it's on. Okay. Fitness influencer Natalie B is facing backlash after her gym, the Girl Sport, announced that it now operates as a biological woman only space, despite her previously supporting trans inclusivity. Back in 2021, Natalie tweeted, "Respectfully, if you have a problem with trans women attending my gym, then you can find another gym to train at." She also stated trans women are women and also a minority that need to be protected. Now, 4 years later, the gym has reversed its stance, barring trans women from joining. Addressing the criticism, Natalie stated, "The Girl Spot operates as a female only gym for biological women, tackling harassment, SA, and violence that women face inside the gym." And I'm not going to finish all that because we heard all of that. All right. So, okay, let's see what the trans lady said. As a trans woman, I don't care. I'm actually glad she did this. The way I see it, hopefully it'll be less catty cis women at the gym. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So here's my thought process on it. So I don't have a problem anytime somebody wants a space that's only for biological, even if you want to, because most of the time it's not about being cisgender, because you could be a stud. Okay. You could be somebody with a coochie that's masculine, and this is still a coochie space. Okay. So you gotta have a born, you gotta be assigned female at birth, bitch. Okay, we're gonna use the lettering that the people want us to use. You have to be assigned a female at birth, bitch, in order for you to come down to this. I feel like I don't see a problem with it, but only because she had already kind of based this gym and platform off of being inclusive. Do I feel like that's some snake shit? It's some snake shit, y'all. I'm sorry. Like, I understand what she's talking about, but I also feel like why at the beginning it sounds like you acquiesced. It sounds like you might have got bullied into this decision, or you were pretending that you were a real ally until it was no longer what trendy. Until it was no longer trendy. That's where my issue comes in. I don't really have a problem with her choosing to operate her gym however she sees fit. I don't. Because I know that there are some women that really don't feel safe around, certain trans women. It has nothing to do with anything like all trans women have done. It might have more so to do with their experiences with trans women or their experiences with feminine men. I think that's another thing. I think a lot of women have had volatile or violent exchanges with feminine gay men, and that might like preface why they feel that way. And there are also women that are just homophobes, transphobes, and bigots. So please don't get me wrong. All right. But I feel like there should be a space where it is inclusive, but that doesn't have to be this woman's gym. But I think people should have a space to go to. So, that's how I feel about it. But when I'm looking at it, I was like, you kind of acting just like the black people. I mean, just like DEI. Like everybody was cool with DEI and wanted to be inclusive and wanted to have equality when it was Black Lives Matter and it was trendy. But as soon as y'all got a bigot into the White House, now everybody's changing their fucking mind and erasing Black Lives Matter off the street in Washington, D.C. This kind of seems similar. She did detail. That's what's on the screen right here, baby. That's what's on the screen. Respectfully, if you have a problem with trans women attending my gym, then you can go find another gym to train at. That's what she said originally. That's what we talking about. She said that originally. Okay, that's the reason why I have an issue, because if you in some way based your platform off of being inclusive, all for you to turn around and decide not to be inclusive, you're making me feel a little bit like Target. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you being a little targetish right now. And I feel like her gym might be dope and all of that, but I don't live where she live, and I go to a gym where it's a whole bunch of different people. I also go to a place where there's going to be a gender neutral sauna, and we had a conversation about that. So yeah, I was just like, as long as everybody know to keep their fucking hands to themselves and cover up their dingalings, I don't care. But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. But I feel like, people with coochies have every right to only want to be around other people with coochies. That's just how I feel about it. Do I feel like if you have a coochie, we need to be diring the coochie to find out if it was USDA made or mama made? No, I don't feel like we need to be doing all of that. But I do feel like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like everybody is entitled to create whatever space they want to create. Because I would much rather you do that than have the trans girls think they're, think you're an ally, think they're somewhere safe, and they're really not. Because some, mean ass ignorant bitch is going to be looking at them weird or making faces and like, I don't feel safe, ma'am. Okay. I've never really, I have heard, I've heard only in those, like, y'all know, like those special instances. Every now and again you hear about a trans girl that went down to the prison, really, so that but that's been happening ever since they kind of like made that rule. I've heard of trans women in jail assaulting women or getting women pregnant, but that's in jail. You know what I'm saying? You've already shown us that we can't trust you whether you trans or not, because here you are, where? In jail. You know what I'm saying? But I don't feel like that's everybody. I don't feel like that's the bulk of trans women. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't feel like you actually have to worry about that with the bulk of trans women. I don't. But I have heard of stories where things like that have happened and men have, like, did a switcheroo on everybody so that they can get access to women. I have seen that happen. That's not a normal occurrence though, but it happens in prisons for sure. Either way, y'all know, no matter what anybody says, I'm an advocate. I don't like for anybody to be being mistreated. I don't care who they are. I don't care if you're trans. I don't care if you're gay, straight, whatever. I don't think people should be mistreated for a fact, right? And I do feel like y'all find ways to hide the mistreatment and just saying, oh, well, I just want this for me. And, I just feel like, why can't we have this for us? But it is, like, this is the world, bro. You have to live with other people. You have to be around other people. But gyms and things of that nature are absolutely spaces where somebody can dictate whether they want to be around a coochie or not. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I get it on both sides. You know what I'm saying? I get it on both sides. I'm glad that there was a trans woman in the comments that was like, at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. Okay. I got a gym I can go to. I don't need to go to hers. That's what I would hope most people would just do and move on with their life. You know what I mean? Let the lady have whatever type of business she would like to have. It's her business. Addressing tweets to clarify that you actually became transphobic since then and are no longer accepting of trans people. What a loser. The cultural push towards conservatism should really horrify us all. It really should. I agree with this.
Traded by men.
I agree. And I think it doesn't
2021.
and I think it doesn't matter how she holds her hands or speaks in her accent and talks calmly and looks into the camera without making many movements. I still feel that there's some bullshit happening here. So thank you very much.